okay, about what our workshops are about, what each of them are about, what's their intent, the journeys to Peru, so that each and every one who comes to those calls has the best understanding of just what it is that they're about.
Mm-hmm.
And in those calls, we will be also we're going to be doing some journey work so that everyone can get the true feel, the true perception of what each is about. Joseph has gone through what was at that time called the medicine wheel. It has evolved since then and has gone to what we now call higher ground. While some of the work of the medicine wheel remains in higher ground, a lot of it has evolved to higher forms. That's very good for everybody, whether you're new or you've been working for some time. It helps to clear out what's maybe gotten stuck. What's gotten stuck, but maybe you didn't even know was there. It has a way of bringing everything up to the light so it gets transformed. And this is all now done on higher ground. Energetic Weavers is about just what that title implies, coming to know what it is to be a weaver of the energetic itself, the raw stuff of creation. How do you do that? Well, that's what Energetic Weavers gives you, the training, the teaching, so you can. The conscious knowledge training is about many branches of any metaphysical, spiritual, esoteric practice. It's about giving you the training of how to actually use forms to bring what you know into active practice. Because you see, many people are born with knowledge, and they know that knowledge intuitively, but they haven't the training, or perhaps the training in other lives stopped for some reason, and now they know it's important, imperative that they continue that training. Conscious knowledge gives you that training. Quintessence. Quintessence. This is working with the Sekes themselves, the Siwas themselves, the Kepacha itself. That flow, that energetic flow itself. Actually working in it, working with it. And there's another one that's wanting to come back, and again at a higher ground. And this is work that's been especially done with women. This is releasing the woman, the wild woman within you. The one that for whatever reason has stayed within. Maybe she's shown herself from time to time. But this is being that woman, that you, the true sacred feminine that you are, and being that in the world, stepping into the world as a woman of sacred strength. How does that sound?
Sounds very good.
Yeah. And it's been coming to me that the Sacred Council of Women is forming now. And that's vital that it is now. And to that extent, one of the journeys to Peru this year is for women only. and that is to the Apu Salcantay, the mountain Salcantay. This is women who are ready and willing to step into initiation. And that's going to be happening this year as well. So just those little things. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, Joseph, I'm sorry you can't come with us to Apu Salcantay.
Oh, man, come on. I have long hair.
Somehow I think the mountain will still see you as a man. In fact, I'm quite certain of it. But to that extent, beyond Apu Salcantay, the mountains called, and so we're going. There is another sacred mountain journey we have as well, Apu Alsingate. And that's for both men and women, so you get to go on that one, Joseph.
Yeah, good.
The mountains are sentient. They are our guides. They are our teachers. They are very much mother and father, sister, brother, all of the higher families in the form of mountains. So we go there when they call. I've been to Apu Alsingate 3 times. I've been to Apu Salcantay once. I've been to Apu Ilimani. And as the other mountains call, I will go with them too as well. I can tell you that the mountains themselves, to go to the mountains themselves and stand on the ground and to feel their essence is something that there are no words in any language that can ever describe that. Can I tell you that it is an easy thing for the physical body? No, it's not. Because we go up to 16,000 feet. But you see, that's part of what happens, is shaking it all out of the physical body. The deaths, little deaths throughout life that are still being held on to, all the beliefs, everything that's being clenched, held so close to you. You go to the mountains, that's gone. That's one of the main, that's the core reason why the physical body goes through what it does when we go up there. Because it gets it out of the very tissues of the body.
I just sneezed too. I don't know if I'm already starting.
Well, good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was
you didn't
trying
interrupt.
To stifle some sneezes.
Sneeze it all out if you need to. That's very good. Sneeze it out. But so feel this. How would it be to get up at dawn at 16,000 feet? You are with the Alsingate. You are with the Salcantay. You are with the Ilimani. You are with the Wainiwilka, with the Chikong, the Pikul, the Mama Simona, Timboya, Ilawamonk, Machu Picchu, Huayna Picchu, Hachatusan. You are with the mountains, and you come out of your tent And the first thing you see is the face of the mountain itself, greeting you, welcoming you into the day. I can tell you this, folks, it brings everything into perspective. Everything is just stripped away, and you are clean and clear and naked and loving every minute of it. Even though your body is saying, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I'll tell you this. One time, you see, I'm just going with the flow here. Whatever, and this is what serves. And as others come, they can join in the journey that we have right now as we are in the mountains right now. And I know you know that. When we're going to Apu Salcantay, there was a place in one of the trails that we couldn't take the horses up because we ride horses up. So we couldn't go up because the trail had something had happened and it was all rock-filled and it wasn't safe for the horses to have people on them to ride up. So we were told that we had to get off the horses and they would lead the horses up and we would just work our way up. Okay. Now this was at about, I'd say maybe 12 or 13,000 feet, something like that, somewhere in there. And so I'm going up there, and my body is grumping at me, and what is this middle-aged woman from New Jersey walking up a mountain? What are you doing? And what quite literally in every way, shape, and form that could ever be heard, what I heard was, you're already doing it. And in that minute, everything fell away. And I went up like a little mountain goat. Mm-hmm. So I had to say, tell us in life, how is it that our lower selves tell us you can't do this? Oh, be careful. That's too risky. And all the be careful. When in truth, you're already doing it.
That happens to me all the time. I'll be like, all right, what am I doing? What's going on here? And then as soon as I ask a question, the answer will just pop up and then I'll hear it. And so it's like, it happens all the time.
That's right. That's right. Now I'm going to take you further on that journey to Apu Salcantay. It takes 3 days to get up to the heights. So as we were going up, and I knew it from the first moment, I knew it even before we even got on the horses. I knew that there was death within me that had to happen, and I knew it. I didn't fight it, I just let it happen. And I could feel the very tissues of my body dying. I could feel its heaviness. I could feel everything that had so been burdensome throughout life. And I could feel it in every cell of my body. So after we had gone through that trail and we were able to get back on the horses, we went further up and we went to, and that part from that trail to the next place where we were going, the death became heavier and heavier, so that I felt like my very physical body had turned to stone. It felt that heavy. Deep, great sadness, sorrow, to the depths that are not even describable. As we got to this place, as I got off my horse, I fell to my knees and just laid there. And I cried, and I turned to the face of Apu Salcantay because you could see it from where we were. And I cried to her. I said, Mother, help me. Mother, Mother, help me. Hold me. I cannot anymore. I cannot. And at that, I look up and there's a stream, and I get to go over there. So hands and knees, I go over there. And I'm looking in the waters of this stream that comes right from Apu Salcantay, and I could see the water spirits, the feminine, the sacred feminine, reached to the water and cleansed and washed. And I could feel so much just cleansing away. And I look in the water, and there was a kuya, and that kuya is still with me. A kuya is one of the sacred ones in the forms of stones and other forms that go into our mesas, and that's still with me. Eventually, we got up to the heights of Salcantay. I was in another world. It was no longer here on the Pachamama. And I could feel the loving embrace of all the sacred ones of light. Apu Salcantay and all who dwell with her and on her, with me. Telling me, keep going. Keep going. You are stronger than you believe you are. You are chosen. We have chosen you. Keep going. When we were to leave now and come back down, we had to go up over a path. When we get up to the top of this path, and we couldn't ride the horses down. We had to hike down. And I will tell you that it was not solid ground. It was that gravelly, sandy, no grip kind of ground, and that's what we hiked down on. And we got all the way down. I found out later, I actually asked several people, because when I first heard it, I said, no. I could never do that. And of course I got, of course you can, you already did. It was over 5,000 feet that we climbed down. Yeah. That's why even now, even when I hear that, I'm like, that was me, right? And so all that is to tell you folks is that you can do it. Irregardless of what the body is telling you, what's happening, you can still do it. Even when the lower self is telling you, no, you can't. So whatever is there, do it anyway. Do it anyway. So how does this come into sacred ceremony? What does this have to do with sacred ceremony? It has to do with going beyond the belief of that you can do a thing, that you can't do a thing, that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't make much difference if you have a good intent or if you don't, or things just happen the way they are. Yes, it does matter. In fact, it's the only thing that does matter. So by bringing the sacred into your everyday, ordinary life, you are merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. As above, so below. As above is the sacred. so below is the physical manifestation of the sacred. Understand that, know that, perceive what that actually means. That as you go beyond the beliefs, whatever is within you that's keeping you wherever it is that you are, or keeping your dreams just in dream state, keep going. Keep going. That's the essential. Keep going. In the minute that you stop, in the second that you stop, it's got you. What is this all saying to you? What is this all saying?
To me, it's just a reminder to not get stuck on anything along the way, and I feel like I'm good with that. As far as sacred ceremony, I always really enjoy being a part of it, and doing the work. Just the feeling of clarity alone, in this work especially, is something I haven't really found in many other places. There's a lot of people that offer this sort of work, and other types of work, and there's all the gamut of all different kinds of work out there, and ceremonial work and healing work. But a lot of it doesn't focus on energetics. A lot of it doesn't focus on consciousness, and a lot of it aren't clear on those aspects, and it doesn't really acknowledge those parts of it. And acknowledging those parts is what really just brings it together. Whereas you can have a bunch of people in the room doing their own thing in their own way, and it's a different type of energy when it's being engaged through the source and from the source, and it's something experiential. It's something that the people there can feel, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to really communicate this to people, because it really is experiential, in terms of beginning to feel the energy in a room, between people, in conversation, in ceremony, and to begin to work that. And a lot of places don't acknowledge that, but that's this work in a lot of ways.
Well, you see, I wanted to just say this, is that the energetics have become about the personal, about the individual, about each person achieving their fullest potential. That's all well and fine, but it can't be individuals. It has to be all of us, not just this person here and this person here and this person here. How is that all connected? That's through the sacred. The sacred connects that. Otherwise, it stays in the ordinary. That is not to say it doesn't work. It does work, but it doesn't take it to the sacred, all the way to the sacred. It keeps it individual. And you see, that's what's vital now, is that when we are working in formal sacred ceremony, we are all there with one intent. It is not, while each person is doing his or her own work, it's all with the full intent, the single intent, that what each person does for him or herself, they're doing it for the greater good as well. That's what changes it. And that's what the core, the heart of this work is. We're not alone. We are together. So to step in fully in whatever you do, from everyday ordinary tasks through deep formal sacred ceremony, always weave in the sacred. Okay, so how do you go about doing that? By having compassion, by having not relating everything that happens through your own events of life, your own experiences of life. See, that's the thing. That's what can happen. We all know how that is, and each and every one of us have done it ourselves. And that is when someone's talking or something is happening, it's related through each person's own experience in life, rather than seeing what's happening to that person. That's weaving in the sacred again, by stepping aside from your own stories of life and perceiving that person and what's happening with him or her. That's a whole nother game changer again. Because then it's not about you. It's not about anyone playing games. It's about seeing. It's about perceiving. I see you. How about that, folks? How often have any of us been in situations where something's happening with someone, and people in the room are talking about, well, he should do it that way, or she should do it that way. When I went through that, I did it this way, so he should do it that way.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
The question there is why?
Well, I think for a lot of people it can, reaffirm their choices and decisions a second time through. And, that kind of, reminds me about growing up and, the kind of things parents want for their kids and, how much they put their own sort of stuff and dreams into, other people's heads. But,
That's very true.
Whatever they want. Yes.
Raising a child, a parent can only guide that child and give that child teachings of what he or she has come to know. But it's a parent who is of higher consciousness, who can will perceive what that child is about. And sure, use the teachings of his or her own life to help guide that child while letting that child know, be who you are. That's bringing the sacred into that. If you look at every aspect of life, you can see where the sacred has gone missing, where it has been established, where it's something of both, and where it is you as a higher conscious vessel of light can step in when you are guided to do so to bring about what you are guided to do. How about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, sure.
Have you children, Susan?
No.
Okay.
Cat.
And Joseph?
No, but I was hanging out with a friend of mine and her kid.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with a friend of mine and her child, and it just brings to mind just one thing I observed in the child. The child's like 7 months old, and when the sort of energy in the room drops, the child will suddenly start bawling and crying. And when you bring the energy back up to a high level, the child calms back down. And I just really sort of watched that and monitored that. And I was like, there's something with this. This is a lot like the work we do.
It's exactly the work that we do. See, there's children.
What's with this?
Because you see, the children don't have the veils build from beliefs and stories that adults do.
Man.
Children see. Children perceive. As they get older, they are given teachings, beliefs, and they start building stories, and that can change and does change. But when they're before that age, when that actually starts happening, that's exactly what happens. So when people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, he's only a baby." Yeah. That's more reason why pay attention to what you're doing. Because he's getting it. He's getting the whole thing. Yes. Animals as well.
Yeah,
any pets that you have.
It's almost like they feel everything and perceive everything without anything in the way, and they immediately feel the energy of wherever they're at, and if it doesn't feel good, they're going to go crazy, and if it does feel good, they're going to be all calm and happy.
Okay, let's take that even a step further.
Yeah.
You were saying that, when it doesn't feel good, they go crazy. When things if that goes away, they get calm. Okay, look at that as adults. Adults get that too, but they're going crazy can be in more shadow, can take deep shadow forms, can't they?
Yeah, it can be more crazy on the inside sort of thing.
So that the shadows that are working within them, when they feel that the energetics are no longer intact, if they are not clear and haven't done anything to transmute those shadows into light, it will be acted out in shadow forms, one way, shape, or form. Does that make sense to you, folks?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it like Carl Jung's shadow, or like shadow work that he did? I'm not. Psychology?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. Carl Jung said that fears, unresolved emotions will take a form that can potentially cause emotional and mental troubles. That's true, Ken.
Yeah.
But we take it beyond just the lower self, emotional and mental bodies. We go right to the source, to the energetic itself. What we do is we take, I'll give you this as an example. Throughout the years, people have come for many different reasons. I listen to what that person is saying, but I don't go there to find the source of what it is. It's not a story. It's rather what has gone out of an intact state, or Aini, perfect reciprocity, perfect balance, at the energetic. We're going to look at that. That goes well beyond any story and, in fact, any events or engagements in any life. Because you see, the energetic simply is, it's eternal. There's no timeline, there's no any of that. It just simply is. It's eternal. So something that could have happened in a past life, maybe 12 centuries ago, if it has not been resolved, those energetics will go from life to light and be as strong today in this moment as it was when it first came to be 12 centuries ago. So that shadow has grown stronger with each life. So now when that person comes and the work begins, that's seen in the energetic body. And that's where the work happens. Not in the story, not in the psychology, not in any of that, but rather at the source itself. So, what happens? When the person can get clear of the stories in the lower self, belief, psychology, all of that, and can fly, then I'm only a guide. We work this energetic so that it comes back into an intact state. So envision as it perhaps a knot that has formed, and there are many strands that go from it. And for each life that happens, another strand is created. So it can have many, many strands. So now, in this life, all those strands are now within the energetic body of the person who lives today. So by working that, all those strands go smooth, and that knot is no longer there. This is actual, folks. I've seen it happen countless times throughout the years, and yes, within myself as well. And this is releasing the person from that tangle of stories so that person can once again feel the sacred within and become clear. And this is what we do in the workshops. This is what we do in the journeys. This is what we do in the private work. This is what we do. Whatever form it is, this is what we do. So how about that, folks? This is all deep stuff. This is all deep teachings for you. But go ahead. Bring it out. Whatever you got, bring it out, and we will continue on about bringing the sacred in.
What I would say of shadow, to me it's sort of what you more or less repress in yourself in a way, or sort of disown within yourself. And it's often the same thing that may emerge as in judgments of others. And, oftentimes, throughout life, the places we go, the people we meet will mirror this to us. And they will show that side of us that we may have disowned within our own self. And they may show us aspects of ourself we may not like. And, I think a lot of the work, too, is in integrating that in whatever way is meant to be. And, shadow can also appear in other ways, in other forms. You say almost like knots, but, it can be a person who is very angry, a person who is just very conflicted and confused and sort of caught in a story. And a lot of this work is in basically helping the person understand the processes going on in their own life so they can step back from the story and source it from a different way, engage it in a different way, perceive it in a different way until they say, oh, well, maybe that was just a story about me. Maybe I wasn't wounded. Maybe I don't have to do that now. Maybe I can, do something different now. Maybe I can make a different choice.
And that's the bottom line. You can always make a better choice, a better and a different choice. People forget that. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything about that. There's nothing you can do about it. It just is what it is. The choice was made, and that's that. No ho ho. You can always make another choice. Yes.
Yeah, and oftentimes, at one point in time, that choice isn't seen, and that choice isn't understood, and it could be just a simple choice between reacting angrily to something or responding compassionately to something. And for a lot of people, that doesn't appear like a choice. They get wrapped up and just sort of caught up in emotions very easily and triggered very easily to the point where they feel like they don't have a choice in what they're doing. But this just sort of,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, this sort of brings it back and really connects a person with what's really going on and shows it to them in a way they can perceive it in a new way, perceive it in a different way, perceive it in, even different eyes, a different way of seeing it, and different angles, any number of ways.
It's seeing it through higher eyes. It's seeing through the primal self for what it really is, sniffing it out, seeing it, perceiving it, knowing it to be what it is, and that you have a choice to engage or not. You see, we carefully, consciously choose our engagements.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, you've heard people say, maybe you yourself have said it yourself, I don't know what happened, it just did. Well, sure you did. Intuitively you did. But maybe at that time you weren't conscious enough to know that. You see, once you make the and this sounds like an odd way to say it, but it serves. You make the conscious choice to be conscious. You can never again be unconscious. You cannot. That's a big lie you're telling yourself then. That's a shadow that keeps getting stronger and stronger every time you believe that you've slipped away from consciousness. Not true. Know what you know. You did know. People say, oh, well, I didn't know. Yes, you did. You don't have the excuse anymore. You didn't know. You weren't aware, because you are now. So that means responsibility. We take the work very seriously. We take being a vessel of light, a guide of light, very seriously. I can tell you, the human, not necessarily. There are times when I've gotten up in the morning and I fall over the cat and I'm not sure why the toast isn't popping up. Well, it's because I didn't push the lever down. And I'm not, why don't I have coffee? Well, you didn't put the coffee in the pot. That's why you have hot water. But it doesn't become toxic anymore. There's no toxicity in it anymore. It just simply is, hi, okay, push the lever down and you'll have toast. It's being kind with yourself. You can be kind with others, be kind with yourself. You can be compassionate with others, be compassionate with yourself. You can be understanding with others, be understanding with yourself. You're human too. And yeah, you do screw up, but now you don't let it eat you up, and you don't let it hurt anyone or anything else anymore. It just simply is. When my lower self wants to get grumpy, I will just simply say, you're being grumpy. I see what this is about. I got this. Let go. Step back. And it works. It really does help for you to be actively conscious with yourself, too. Because that gives the better choices. That brings the sacred into everyday life. because you are not just looking through stories. You're not just sourcing through stories. You're sourcing through the higher perceptual primal self, the sacred itself.
Yeah, and that's there all the time. That's the point I needed to learn, or at least this year, is really that connection, that higher awareness is really all that it always there all the time. It's not a matter of connecting or disconnecting with it. It's always there, but it's something that takes a while to develop because the lower self can be tricky, and it can have all sorts of stories and side rail delusions and any number of things to distract you with, but you don't really have to take those things into your body, as something to use against yourself. It doesn't have to be that sort of shadow engagement. It can just be what it is, and there's no story, there's nothing attached to it. And it's like, oh, that's what it is, and that's really what it is. There's nothing to it, nothing to react about. And
know that you know the difference because you're conscious, because you can sense the energetic, you perceive it. How does it feel? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel weighted down? Does it feel like there's a lot of chatter? Does it feel dim and murky? That's the lower self. So right through the perception without thought. See, thought is not needed, folks. Pay attention to what you perceive. Pay attention to that sense, that feeling that says, yeah, this feels heavy. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Because that's telling you, that's the guidance, the perception that's telling you exactly what you need to know. And that something is sliding into the lower self. That's where you get to make another choice.
And how do you shake that off? I would use affirmations or something. I don't. Or
sure.
Just tell myself
Affirmations.
It's not personal. Yeah.
Affirmations are a wonderful thing to use because it can help. It can help to look up into the light rather than into the heavy shadow. It's giving your lower self something, a beacon to follow. And that their affirmations are very good. Even before you use an affirmation, what do you perceive? What do you feel? That sense of something just doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to that. Pay good attention to that. And in that moment, you can perceive, I'm not making that choice, and moving on. Mm-hmm. So it's using it to see it perhaps this way. You're driving down the road and you're making a choice. You see a sign that says there could be some problems on this road, or this one is a smooth road. You get the choice of which road you're going to take. And when you do that consciously, you're going to take the smooth road. And you know it because you feel it. And it's something we have all known our entire lives. But now that we are conscious, we recognize that sense of what it is because we're perceiving it consciously. And that makes the difference. And so that means you can be in a situation where maybe you're at work, school, wherever you are, and there's people around you, and you're going to sense what's going on with them. You make a choice whether you're going to engage it or not. And the only thing that you know to do is if you are guided to do it. Otherwise, it's the lower self wanting to pull out all of its stories to present the right way to do things. And we can all very clearly see how that's fraught with all sorts of dangers. So how do we make a choice? We feel it. And when we are in places where there are people around and those who are not awake and are as they are, we can be little sponges and soak up everything around us. No need to do that. This is where center, round, shield. So the Pachamama herself, your energetic body are in a constant, eternal flow, flowing with each other. So that when you shield, your energetic body is strengthened, and the conscious choice of not permitting anything that you don't want to come within, the 4 C's of discipline again. Conscious, contain, control, compassion. So by actively participating with this is bringing in the sacred as well. Just like that baby that Joseph was speaking about. That when that things calmed down, that baby calmed down. Because that baby sensed the energetics had become intact again. That baby isn't verbal. That baby doesn't have adult reasoning. But that baby felt, perceived, and that's what we do as adults. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a situation like that, you don't have to be the one that's going to take care of everything and take care of everybody. Just go by the guidance. Follow the guidance. And that's more than anything else that you ever have to do. So it's just the 3 of us this evening, it seems, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. It's been a good talk.
Yeah.
It's been very good.
Yeah.
How about you, Susan?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was wondering, do you find yourself, I find myself getting a little self-conscious about it. Like maybe it's where I work. I work in this big plant, and there's like really no escape from everybody and the machines. And so sometimes, you get bored, so people want to entertain, and there's the stories come out, and the this and the that. So I just found myself getting very self-conscious about, certain things. So I wonder, I don't know if maybe there's too much mental activity going on inside. I don't know. Do you ever find that happens when you're having this dialogue? Or
this goes with the guidance again.
Mm-hmm.
Because other people are choosing to do whatever they want to do, it's their choice to do that. You don't have to.
Right.
If you don't feel the sense that you want to join in the way they are whatever they're doing in the way they're doing it, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You have that choice. That doesn't mean that you have to separate, but you don't have to engage as they will.
Right. That's true.
As an example, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
And from time to time, I'll go out with friends, and maybe they want to have some drinks, and other people are drinking, and maybe somebody will want to buy me a drink, and I'll just simply, no, thank you. That's all. Nothing else.
Right.
No big story, no explanation, no self-consciousness, no anything. Just simply, no, thank you. And that's all. If anyone wants to push it, I will just simply then, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all you have to do. And if you do that with clear intent, clear conscious intent, it's saying very, very clearly, and it is strong, no. These are my boundaries.
Mhm.
It is my choice to choose what and who is permitted within those boundaries and who and what is not. So if that intent is within whatever you say, it's felt. It's not defensive. It's not nasty. It's not any of those things. It just simply, it is what it is. If in the course of their conversation or whatever they're doing, there's something that you feel, you know, can be something to be brought into that, go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
But not because you feel you have to.
Right.
There's an obligation.
Mhm.
There doesn't need to be any of that. Just simply whatever it is. Does that help?
It does, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. About a month or so ago, there was someone who came to, I have a small part-time job, and the person who was coming later, when she came in, we were talking a little bit, and I just said to her, is this what you do? Is this job what you do all of the time? Just simply in a conversation, and she became very defensive.
Yeah.
And had to give all explanations, why she's doing it, what she's doing, why she's having to do all this. And I just said to her in a very gentle way, no need to defend this. It was simply a question and conversation.
Right, right. Mhm.
But she had to defend herself. And I knew it was all about her.
Yeah.
And how did I know that? Because I sensed it, I felt it, I perceived it.
Yeah, there seems to be times that everyone seems to be very defensive. I'm sure I come across that way too, but it just seems to be so heightened lately. I don't know.
Okay, but be careful with that though, Susan.
Mhm.
Why do you be careful in even bringing yourself into that?
Mhm.
Perhaps you're not defensive.
Yeah.
So be consciously aware of not feeling that you have to in some way be as others are.
Mhm.
You don't. Be you. Just simply be you. If a person chooses to be defensive, that's that person's choice. If you are conscious and you know that whatever was given was done cleanly and clearly, and that there is nothing else in it but impeccable intent, then you can be very clear that it's about them, not you.
Mhm.
And by not having to, well, maybe I was like that, maybe it's, no.
Mhm.
Let that part go.
Yeah.
That can be shadow hooks that keep you into old stories.
Mm.
From teachings and beliefs and stories that were given to you by others, not only in this life, but in other lives.
Mhm. Right. Thinking I'm trying to be fair and all this, but meanwhile, I'm giving my energy away, or my sense of not judgment, but
be careful of not being too accommodating.
Oh yeah. There's a big one.
That's a big word, and it's true of many people. Accommodation takes many forms, and it can be by, as you just said, trying to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay? You're trying to be fair to others. How about you?
Right. Yep. That can feel strange when you first start to do it, or even it seems like anger, like there's this free floating anger around, and of course there's so much violence going on, as we all know,
mm-hmm.
and it just seems like sometimes it's just tangible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, and again, that's probably what we were just talking about. Me thinking, all right, am I bringing this out because I'm suppressing it, or you know, is it my Plutonian whatever, you know? So.
But you know, this is where be consciously aware of not sourcing through you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
That's taking the focus and everything that's going around and making you the focus, the source.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with you 99% of the time.
Mm.
So instead of looking to without to find where it's your fault, your responsibility, it's about you, see it, perceive it. And know that by how you feel, what you sense. Now, the lower self is going to throw all of its emotions and emotionally laden stories and beliefs and all of this in there. Fly high. Fly high. Call on condor, call on eagle, call on raven, call on crow, call on hawk, falcon, any of the high flyers. Call on them to help you to fly high. Mm-hmm. And they will do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. That accommodation has caused lots of troubles for lots of people. Yeah. So I know. I mean, the call for creation calls come in however they are. Whether it's just 3 as we've had this evening, or there's a bunch of us. It is what it is, and I know that in every single call that we've had and ones that will come, it is perfectly served. So I know we're getting close to the completion of this one. Night.
Well, I would say it just sort of brings back fond memories of